Hi everyone, let's talk about Jetpack Joyride, which again is on Kickstarter right now, and you can click the link in the description to see all of the lovely campaign page stuff. So coming into this, I was a huge fan of Jetpack Joyride years and years and years ago. It must have been a very early game for me when I first got an iPhone. Played a ton of it, and when I knew about the announcement of the board game version of it, I downloaded it again and got right back into it. It's an absolutely fantastic free-to-play game, and yeah, you should check it out because it's really good. And Half Brick make really, really good games. If you've got an Xbox, then Rascals was brilliant, but people have moved on, haven't they? They've all got Xbox Ones and future technology now. The board game. Lucky Duck Games make great things, not least of which Chronicles of Crime, which I went on and on and on about a few months ago. And they started out making board game versions of apps like Vikings Gone Wild. I wasn't familiar with that app, but it was a really successful app that they had turned into a successful board game. And here, I think they have really managed to capture the spirit of the video game fantastically well in a competitive tile laying game. Yeah, I wouldn't have thought it to come in this form, but it works fantastically. You have the time pressure that everybody is grabbing from this pool, and it's dwindling really, really quickly. I will say a little bit that when we played first, our first game was at the UK Games Expo, and we played a 4-player game then when all of the tiles are on the table, and although everybody is trying to get the easier tiles first, it's a bit of a shame in a 2-player game that you can sometimes end up, by just removing randomly half of the tiles, you can end up with all of the, I say awkward tiles, they've all got a use I suppose, but the ones that are maybe a bit harder to use, you can end up with a game that is mostly those. But I suppose you could easily house rule that by just, if you wanted to, you could go through each type and just take half out if you really want to. That's just a tiny little nitpick for 2 players there. But yeah, going through this lab and trying to avoid all of the obstacles and collect the coins, obviously that's the spirit of the app game, but it's carries over all of these things like the gadgets and the missions, and it doesn't really feel shoehorned in. It feels like they give you, you are trying to build up your strategy. You are trying to get things that work well together, or trying to get the most effective gadget first, and in that sense it's good that it rewards the person who is in last place first. It lets them get first pick of the gadgets. And as in the app game as well, the missions will often make you do unconventional stuff in the pursuit of extra points that can sometimes lead you to just failing a lot quicker than you would have otherwise. But yeah, there is a solo play variant that I haven't had a chance to try just yet, but it's fantastic that the option is there. And so far I've played a 4-player game and a few 2-player games, and yeah, absolutely love it at all counts. And yeah, coming into this, as I said, I was probably predisposed to like it just from the, not only the nostalgia, but the rekindled, this game is fantastic, that I had about Jetpack Joyride. But I am also a fan of I'm a fan of games where we are trying to assemble the polyomino pieces. Usually it's done in a slower, more puzzly form. It's something like Patchwork or Baron Park or something like that. But I love real-time games as well, especially, this is a nice quick one as well. Even though we're playing through 3 rounds of it, it's done as a 2-player game. It's done in about 15 minutes or so. It's very, very, very quick to play. And with more players, the only thing that takes longer is the evaluation of the points, really. You've just got 2 more people to go through what you got for each of the different scores. The actual round itself doesn't really take any longer, because as soon as one person is done or everybody else can't play something, the round is over, and that's when you stop. But yeah, downsides of it, it's going to be the standard. If you don't like real-time games, then you're probably not going to like this. And maybe I can't imagine what it's like without having the nostalgia for the game, so that could very well be playing a part in it. But I would like to think that aside from the license and all of the kind of references and adaptations that I recognise, just as this real-time tile laying game, it's a very fun, very kind of fast-paced knockabout, real-time path-finding game. And yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. But for me, as I said, it's got that added extra of having the the scenario that I am familiar with and all of these callbacks to that game. And as well, the one thing that I had been thinking after we first played it at the expo is, oh, it's got all of this great stuff, but it's a shame that it hasn't got the vehicles. They were a really big part of the app. You would pick up on your pursuit through the lab, you would get power-ups that gave you vehicles that behaved in crazy ways, like a teleporter that had a kind of zigzag, constantly moving up and down, and whenever you pressed the screen it would transport you there, and obviously everything was going far too quick for you to see that, or a dragon that kind of zigzagged through the screen. Everything worked very, very strangely, but so I was thinking, yeah, that's a bit of a shame that that's not in there yet. But I spoke to Vincent about their plans for it, and he mentioned, well, they've got a mini expansion planned for that, where when you have certain vehicles, you will be able to take special shaped tiles that will only be available to you. So that sounds fantastic. Again, I haven't got the prototype for that, but yeah, I'm really, really glad that that has been thought of, because you would expect it. They have obviously they're obviously very familiar with the game and have been very faithful to it, while making something that I think is a very good, fast, fun, on the lighter side certainly, but still an incredibly enjoyable real-time game in its own right. But yeah, the playthrough is there though, so hopefully that can give you some idea of whether the game would be for you or not. But yeah, I'll have to try and get it cooler in here, because it is red hot in England. Although, yeah, other countries I'm sure will be able to say, oh, it's way hotter in here. But that's just not an issue for a Jetpack Joyride video, is it really? Bye everyone.